Hello, party people, and welcome back to the show. This is episode 109 of the WarDawg Trail podcast. I'm your host, Sergeant WarDawg, and with me is
Remo 311.
All right, salute, party people. All right, and continuation of our Military Ballers series, in which we highlight great veterans that are doing great things, that have done great things. We continue today with another veteran who also happens to be an amazing author. All right, but before we get to her, let's go to some announcements for today. All right, you can visit our website, sergeantwardawgtv.com, for all the most up-to-date information about the show. You can also find us on Facebook at Sergeant WarDawg TV, YouTube at Sergeant WarDawg TV, and Instagram at Sergeant WarDawg TV. You can also find us on X at Sergeant War. All right, last year we won 2 awards. First off, from Corporate Livewire, we won Veteran Support Nonprofit Organization of the Year. Second, in the UK, from Acquisition International Magazine, we won Leading Veteran Welfare Outreach Nonprofit Organization for 2023. All right, if you are interested in advertising on Sergeant WarDawg TV, these are the outlets that you can find the video broadcast on, as well as the audio podcast. Last but not least, my new book, the same name as this podcast, The WarDawg Trail, is now out in both Amazon as well as Barnes & Noble. So if you want to hear the story of Grimo 311 and I going to Iraq 3 separate times, 3 consecutive years, including the very first day of the war, go buy your copy of the WarDawg Trail on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. All right. This is the WarDawg Trail podcast. We now continue our Military Ballers segment on the WarDawg Trail podcast. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to the stage the one, the only, Miss Betsy Ross, author. Welcome to the show, Betsy.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad we could get you on the show. Now, most people don't know you and I have history. We go way back with Dysfunctional Veterans, DV Radio. I've been a fan of yours for some years now, and your fight series books. I've been an amazing fan of your talent and everything you do for the veteran community. If you don't mind, start us off. Let us know where you're located.
Well, currently I'm in Texas. Sun's actually shining.
All right, good deal. Now, can you start us off? Let us know about your military background.
Well, there's really not much to tell. I am an Army veteran. I only served about 2 years before being chaptered out due to an injury. My unit was being deployed, so I needed to get out as soon as possible. I did feel that was a little unfair, but I felt that I needed to continue a mission and do something more for my fellow comrades. And after going through a very dark struggle myself, I decided that the best way for me to cope, if you will, was writing. And I started to call out for help in my own way through publishing, self-publishing, trying to reach out to veterans and helping their families, because my family, I didn't feel like I could connect with anybody. I couldn't reach out to the VA, other veterans, my family. I didn't have friends. I was living out of my truck. So publishing this series was pretty much everything. It was the way I just dealt with everything that I had gone through, especially being basically chaptered out, which is typically in a bad situation. But for me, it was just because I was holding them back, if you will. So the Fight series is a mental health, emotional awareness, veterans awareness, trying to get the word out that some veterans do suffer alone. They hurt alone. They don't want to ask for help. And even though it's a fictional story, it does have a lot of real emotions. It has some of the situations did actually happen. I did interview some other veterans. And so I pretty much just compile a bunch of veteran stories and my own feelings and situations into one story for a bunch of veterans to get a different perspective, different viewpoint of what life and the world look like in the eyes of a veteran.
All right, right on, right on. Now, will you let us know what type of reception have you gotten from the public as far as the book and the book series?
From what reviews and what talk I've actually heard, and of course from you and Bo and everyone else from DV Radio, it's definitely eye-opening. It's just a different perspective that a lot of people, including some family members, have never thought of. How something so simple as a word, phrase, a smell, anything that can trigger an episode or a moment where a veteran feels distant, feels alone, feels like they just need to shut down, they need to get away from everybody, they can't communicate well with anybody. And so that kind of distance, I think, really is very heavily within our veteran community. And Fight series really wants to be a voice to show light that this is happening. It's the elephant in the room no one wants to talk about. And so
Exactly.
it barely grazes the surface. There's many more issues within the veteran community, but the Fight series is definitely just a stepping point, just a topic conversation starter for a lot of families or veterans themselves.
Good
Okay.
deal.
Now, quick question. Now, you was asked. Now, you said you kind of wrote as a cry for help. What can you explain that? Like, what was it you were looking for, and how that actually cope with it.
In a way, I was already trying to numb the pain with alcohol. I was very much, I wasn't gonna say an alcoholic, like I'd say, but it was definitely my go-to. I jumped into school right out of the military. My husband at the time basically went away, no idea where he went. I was on my own. I had nowhere to live. I called the VA, and they said they wouldn't see me because I wasn't medically discharged. There may have been miscommunication. I know that's not true. It's not a thing. But at the time, I was like, that's it. The VA, I'm not allowed to see the VA. I was chaptered out. I mean, it's honorably discharged, but it wasn't like, it just sounds horrible. And then other veterans didn't want to deal with anything I had to say. I wasn't 11 Bravo. I didn't have any cool stories. So I couldn't communicate with them. I just felt weird and awkward around my family. And so it was the lowest point, I think, in my life. 2011 was the worst year of my life. It was back to back of events that pretty much just, I felt destroyed. I felt in such a dark hole. Whether I'd said something, it was like I didn't mean to say it, but at the same time, it was like I couldn't find the words. And so even just to say help, it didn't come out as help. It came out as just something weird. And people were like, okay, she's very weird. And people were distant from me. And I get it. I understand it. But I didn't know how to communicate. And especially with all the drinking and such, I know I didn't look like a very good person. And so I knew the one thing I could express myself was through writing, because I've always wrote poetry. I've always wanted to write short stories or a book or something. And I started to slowly find ways to get my feet back on the ground. Again, I was still in school. And so I was trying to find a way of how I could help other people, because I started to realize I didn't think I was done with the military. I wanted to be back in. And there were times I tried to go back in, but I had to find proof that I could, mission capable, that I could still do it even though I was injured. So I had to pretend to not be injured. And with nerve damage, that is very hard to do. So
Yeah.
I figured I wanted to do more. I wanted, well, how else could I do that? And then I realized, no one helped me. No one heard me. Veteran, civilian, VA. I didn't know who to turn to. And so I started writing a story where I could express my situations and my heartache and my depression and my suicide thoughts and everything else into these characters. So even though Fight does jump around a lot with different characters, it's the different perspectives, it's the different situations, it's the different things that either I felt or some other veterans that were feeling when they got out of the military. It was my cry out for help because it was the only way I felt like I could express those deep, dark emotions and thoughts without being weird. And so that was where I found my voice. That's where I found pretty much myself. And it helped me get a little better even as I wrote them. And then I wrote the stories. And then after Fight 1 was published, that's when I started getting reviews and go, I'm not crazy. This can relate with civilians. This can relate with anyone who's dealt with depression or thoughts of suicide, or because that's when I also started opening my eyes where just because you've got a family, you're married, you've got that great house, you've got that job, you can still be depressed. You can still feel like you're not yourself. You can still feel like you can scream to the world and no one's actually listening without saying, yeah, the weather's great. Yeah, my job's great. Yeah, the kids are growing old. What about you? How are you? And so that's when I started looking more into mental health and in general and like psychology and really understanding why I did the things I did, why I made the bad habits I did, and then I could forgive myself for doing those things, hanging out with people I shouldn't, just constantly turning to alcohol. And then I went 2 years sober, and then it was, I can trust myself around alcohol again, or if someone else is drinking, I don't feel that absolute need where I need it. I have social anxiety, but I try to still stay away from it. And I feel like I can have control again. And so Fight series was definitely, it probably saved my life in some form of way. And so hearing other stories and testimonies, it's just really been amazing that I can still help the veterans, even though I'm not actually wearing the uniform.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we definitely understand that, how it can feel weird, getting out, kind of expressing yourself, kind of learn. Well, I'll say not really learning from the get go, but you kind of you have certain issues and you don't really catch on to what it is, what's triggering it, you know. So even us, as O3, we have cool combat stories, coming out, but still, you know. So, definitely coming from your perspective, yeah, I can see where it's a little harder.
Yes. Betsy, baby, you bounced back. You bounced back so well. In such a major way. Oh my gosh. I mean, all right, from all of our years together on DV radio, I don't know if I've ever let you know. Did you know I've been hospitalized 5 times?
I believe you did mention it.
Okay, all right. That's why when I mentioned Psych Ward Gang, it is near and dear to me. That plus the fact that there were some times that there were already other veterans that were there, and going through their own struggles as well. So that's what made me think of and now identify with the Psych Ward Gang. But you have a bounce back story very similar. Yours is even better than mine. You picked yourself up from everything that you just said you went through, and you utilized that hurt and that pain, and you went out and you wrote an entire series of books. Betsy, you bounced back for real. Salute to you, man. I can't thank you enough. I can't give you enough props.
No, I definitely appreciate that, especially when you feel like where everyone, like your chain of command, pretty much just forgot about you if you were to reach out. I was kind of, because I was injured, some people probably thought I was faking it. So I wasn't, I was just their problem child. They kind of finally got rid of. So I couldn't even reach out to people I had served with much. But of course, there are people who would be saying that, you can always reach out to me. And it's hard to just simply just talk to someone. And so Fight series was definitely something that I could really hold on to as my own and be my voice and not feel judged. Even though a book published, you can still get criticized. I can still have a 1-star rating, but because of all the testimonies, I know that I'm not done yet, that I can still do more, that there is so many people out there hurting who don't have a voice. And so I'm all about, I'll scream to the world if you don't want to. I'll shed the light if you don't want to. So I'll keep fighting.
Hey, be honest. Do you take the reviews to heart?
To some degree, yes, depending on what specifically they're saying. Like on Audible, there is a 2-star rating, but they didn't write anything, so I don't know why. Is it just because of the narrator, or is it because of the story itself? Like when it comes to Audible, those reviews are a little, I don't really take to heart too much. But the books themselves on Amazon or Goodreads, most at least state that it gives them a different perspective, that it helps them see through that veteran's eyes and perspective of just returning home, how awkward conversations are, how time flies, but they didn't. And those moments really hit the most it seems like for most veterans. So the reviews, I like honest reviews, especially when it comes to mental health and reaching out to people. That's why I think Fight is so important, to try to reach out to people. I've had marriages saved. I've had lives saved. I've had people open up to me about just different testimonies, and it's amazing. And mental health is hard when trying to give testimonies because you want to give people their privacy and such. But at the same time, it's like, you need to scream that to the world. People need to read Fight. If you were going to go through a divorce and now you saved your marriage because you both read Fight and understand that it was a miscommunication issue because you're both veterans and you're just having your own little cliques and such. And then you've got other people who said, I thought about killing myself. I read your book and now I want to live. And it's those things are just so amazing that even if that was all the readers or reviews I had, that alone makes the entire journey worth it. I had to live through a lot of it, but still it makes it worth it to actually do something with pain and regret and that depression. It sounds horrible. I've been at the bottom. I've tried to take those pills. I tried to pull the trigger. I tried to do everything. And here I am still. So there had to have been a reason. And then Fight happened. And I've been able to reach out to so many people and hearing these testimonies. And it's like, wow, keep fighting the fight. And you would be amazed at what's on the other side of that mountain.
Right on. Right on.
Right.
All right. I want to say 2 things. Oh, I'm sorry. You have something, AJ?
Yeah. Hey, I just want to ask you, like what motivates you now? What do you do now to to deal with everything? What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? I have so many hobbies. I don't know if I've always had ADD or if I've developed it, because one thing that really helped me through, at least once I got 2 years sober and such, and I realized, school, okay, great. But I realized that I had to make small goals every single day, whether it was, hey, read a book, or I don't know, learn a language, or do this, do laundry, do half the laundry, because that piles up crazy. So just do like small goals, do the dishes, do this or that. But fitness was always my thing, so that was always my outlet, going for a run, going to the gym. And so those little things really pushed me. So now what makes me happy, of course, is working out. It's writing. It's reaching out to other people or through social media, hearing their stories like, hey, I just read your book. This is what I thought. It's not a real review, but it's still being able to communicate, and they're able to express and open up to someone. Those little moments really just make my day. Anything positive about Fight, whether it's a review or just saying, hey, I handed it off to my counselor or my family member. I mean, those make my day. Those really make me happy, because I know the fight's still going. The mission is still being pushed, and other people are carrying that torch, if you will, on to the next person. And that is what just makes living life worth it again. Because it's like, what's going to happen today? And so, okay. But I do have a lot of other hobbies. Gardening, I work, of course, but I also have cows and I have snakes and I have children, and I I sew. I do a lot of things. So,
Okay.
but life, there's so much. I want to do it all at this point. And so, again, it's just starting off with those little goals every day. I don't have to do it all. It sounds very tedious when I list everything I do in my life, but just little things. And those are the baby steps that people forget. It's baby steps.
Right.
Exactly. I want to let everyone know that there was a time when I was living in Texas while you were living in Texas. And I don't know if you remember, but I actually hunt hogs as my form of therapy. Right. So there was a time when I reached out to you and I really wanted to try to come onto your property so I could get it out of my system so I could go after some hogs. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do.
All right. All right.
I'd be like, yeah, don't mind him. He's good. We do have hogs. We still have hogs.
Yeah, I've brought Grimo 311 into the fold as well. So he's definitely into hog hunting as well. So don't be surprised if you start to see us filming our hunts now. So that's the next phase of what we really want to be doing is filming our hunts and filming us camping and whatnot.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, good deal. Good deal. Now, I ask all of our guests, all right, if you could tell us your 3 favorite firearms.
Oh Lord. Favorite firearms. Do I have? I have so many. Really got to put me on the spot now. Now I'm drawing a blank. Come on now. You got to do that to me.
So what's the last 3? What's the last 3 you shot?
Oh my God.
There we go to your favorite. We'll work up to it.
I think the last one I did was Spring Armory 40, but I can't think of what the other one I just had. I don't remember.
It's all right. Shit.
Now.
It happens.
Wow.
It happens. It happens. How about can you tell us what we can expect in the future from Betsy Ross?
Gosh. Well, as far as expanding from the Fight series is a 4-book series, but there's also a collection book out there of all 4 in one. But as far as continuing mental health awareness and such, Fighting Me is in progress. Not very far in it right now because I've started other books as well as being an author just for entertainment down in Georgetown, which I'm hoping to have that done by the end of the year. But Fighting Me is the next project as far as communicating mental health and a veteran's perspective, but it's more written in a first person. It's a female veteran wife, mother type perspective, just expressing general mental health, just living life. And I'm hoping that continues people talking again about mental health and the seriousness that just simply talking to someone, just feeling accepted, just the little things of, we all have our quirks, we all have our uniqueness, and just let us be us. Let us have moments where we can de-stress or just vent or, simply just communicate with one another. It seems so silly to say because it's so simple, but I think people in this crazy fast lane life, we just forget that we got to go back to the simple things, the little things, checking in on one another. Like, hey, we still think about you. You're not alone. If you are, please reach out, because suicide hotlines, even for me, were a little intimidating. And I've heard horror stories as far as people reaching out and it's just like a computer and and that just doesn't make the situation more like, why do that if I'm just going to talk to a computer? And so I know this can be difficult. So us, especially as veterans, need to reach out to one another because who knows a vet better than a vet? and
Right
regardless
on.
of background or whether you've deployed or not, how long you've been in, what rank you got. There's so many things that happen in the military that people don't want to talk about. They think it'll make the military look bad, or, and some people just don't want to talk about the military, which is completely understandable. But when you don't talk about it, you hurt yourself. That some people realize they're just so angry and so uptight about little things that don't matter. And it's because you're holding on to something you probably shouldn't. Of course, we have our dark humor too. Most of us veterans have our dark humor, but we'll just laugh it off. And we got to. You have to. But being able to do that with other veterans, though, at least in most situations, it doesn't make you feel weird. Because if you say something dark sense of humor, if you do it in front of civilians, you're like, okay, you're that person, and you just kind of sink to the back. But in other veterans, that's what I really try to push veterans to talk to one another, because you'll at least understand where that dark humor is coming from. You'd understand the lingo, the jargon, all those little stories. And you can actually laugh about those little situations. Even if you are hurting yourself, even though you haven't expressed it, if you're hurting yourself and you hear someone else say it, I think it makes people connect and feel better about life in general, because it doesn't make them feel alone. They won't verbally say it, but it just makes them not feel so alone. And I think that's one great thing.
Yeah, definitely. Now, can you let everyone know where they can find the fight series, as well as where they can find you online or social media?
Let's see where to begin. Well, I do have the website. It's probably easier as far as getting most of those links. But fightwithbetsyross.com is where I pretty much have all the book links, and I'll put even events and whatnot on there. But as far as social media, that is, let's see, Fight with Betsy Ross on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. I don't post very many videos on YouTube, but I do try to post some things on there. So YouTube, Instagram, I think those are all those. But as far as where I am, where my books are, I'm self-published through Amazon. So right now they're all on Amazon. The first 4 books, let's see, all the 4 books are on paperback and Kindle. The Fight Collection is in hardcover only. They're also all on Audible at this time. So I think that's it. It's crazy. All over the place.
All right. Great. Betsy, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your schedule to join the show with us. This has been amazing. I knew that once we had you on the show, this was going to be one of those neat and in-depth discussions. And for the record, I want to let it be known that Grimo 311 and I are never the type of veterans that don't appreciate other jobs that are out there besides the infantry. All right. So let that be known. Let that be heard. Whatever job you had while you served in, always remember that is the reason why I created Military Ballers, because in my eyes, no one else can do what you do except in the movies, man. So in my eyes, you're rock stars. You're all right. You got military individuals are military ballers because there are things that they do in their lifestyle, living away from home, all sorts of things that, are far removed from being in a war period that are still dope that individuals do as military individuals. And as like I said, you can only see being done on TV or in the movies, man. So that is why Betsy Ross is another member of our Military Baller series. And that's why we are very proud to have her on the show to showcase her fight series and her collection of books that are really helping the veteran community around the world. All right, Betsy, do you have any last words for us?
Oh, all I can say is keep fighting the fight. Everyone's fighting something, even if they don't talk about it. So whatever it is, whatever you're facing, whatever you're feeling, keep fighting the fight. Reach out if you need to. It's okay to vent or bounce ideas off someone. Don't fight alone, because together we can fight anything, whether we're on or off the battlefield. So keep fighting the fight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Betsy Ross. And I got to throw in my own little psych ward gang up in there to make things all nice. All right, Betsy, you have a great day, and thank you for coming on the show.
All right,
Thank
Betsy,
you.
good talking to you.
All right.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank y'all so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's episode 109 of the WarDawg Trail podcast. Salute.
Oh, brother, please let us know for last thoughts. Our listeners live and on podcast.
All right, we know that I do joke quite often about my attempted escapes from the psych ward, but in all seriousness, the psych ward gang is seriously my idea of representing the military. Representing mental health in the military community. So if you happen to run into any type of mental health crisis or emergency, do not be ashamed nor afraid to dial 988, press option 1. Again, just as I had to do when I was in a moment of crisis, do not be ashamed nor afraid to dial the digits 988 and press option 1 if you find yourself in a WarDawg. Joining me is
And I'm on mute.
Joining me is Grim. Hey, how you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I figure out how to work this thing. Apparently, I can't take the mute off.
Oh, it's all good. Sometimes it happens like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a tried and true professional with us, a superstar in the hunting and outdoors TV world for you. But before we bring him to the stage, let's go over a few announcements for today. As always, you can visit our website, sergeantwardawgtv.com, to find out all of the most up-to-date information about the show, the podcast, or my recently released book. You can also find us on Facebook at Sergeant WarDawg TV, YouTube at Sergeant WarDawg TV, and Instagram at Sergeant WarDawg TV. You can also find us on at Sergeant War. We are brand ambassadors for Reaper Apparel Co. So you can use our code Sergeant WarDawg TV for 10% off your entire order. Camp Doghouse is our homeless veteran shelter in the Central Florida area. You can now visit campdoghouse.org to find out what we are doing in the Central Florida area with the land that we acquired 5 years ago, in terms of now trying to have a place that we can house homeless war veterans to help them get back on their feet. We won 2 awards last year. The first award came from Acquisition International Magazine. We won Leading Veteran Welfare Outreach Nonprofit Organization for 2023. Also, from Corporate Livewire, we won Veteran Support Nonprofit Organization of the Year. We are media members of the NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation. The organization owns and runs SHOT Show. We will soon be media members of POMA, the Professional Outdoor Media Association. And last but not least, last week I did release my book, the same name as this podcast, The WarDawg Trail. It is now available on Amazon. It is one of the top-ranked books in Iraq war biographies. This book highlights our 3 tours in Iraq, our 3 consecutive tours as Marine entry riflemen, including being present for the very first day of the Iraq War. All right. That concludes our announcements. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we welcome to the stage Kyle Green, host of the Greenway Outdoors on the History Channel. Kyle, welcome to the show, boss.
Thank you for having me, guys. I'm pumped to be here.
All right. I was telling everyone I am actually a huge fan of yours, bro. I happened to notice you on Carbon TV, and from there I just started to follow you and find out that you were on the History Channel as well. And I have to tell you, bro, you hunt hard. You hunt species, that are so varied. You travel everywhere to do your hunting. I got to tell you, bro, from a military veteran's perspective, it is enjoyable to watch you and all that you do on your show, man. My hat's off to you and salute, bro. You are an entertainer's entertainer.
Well, I appreciate that so much, and thanks to people like you, why we have those freedoms. Why we're the only country where poor people get to hunt. You know what I mean? I grew up with not a lot, and we're a country where everybody gets to do it. You know what I'm saying? And we have those freedoms here because of people like you guys that fight for them. So thank you for making it possible that I can pick up a rifle and go have fun, because you guys picked up a rifle and did what you had to do to protect us and our rights. So without you guys, we wouldn't have our Second Amendment. We wouldn't have that Bill of Rights, that Constitution, those things that I love so very much without people like you that fought and died for them. So thank you for that. So I'm a fan of you guys too, because I appreciate what you did to make it possible. As far as the hunting and fishing, man, when you only eat what you shoot, you like to get a variety. I don't want to eat the same thing every day. So the weirder, the better, you know. We're getting ready to go to Hawaii. We're going to be fishing for prawns. We're going to be hunting for mouflon sheep and feral cows, if you can believe that, because who doesn't love a good ribeye? And then we've got a bear episode coming up for season 2 where we're eating black bear meat and rendering out the fat to make cool things. So the weirder the better, and we love teaching people about conservation and hunting and fishing, and all of that ties into the Second Amendment. Make no mistake about it. What wakes me up every single day is 60% of hunting and fishing licenses are sold to white males over the age of 55. And the problem with that is in about 10 to 15 years, we're going to lose all that funding. And 60% of that funding, that's what pays for our national parks, our species sustainability efforts, our fighting against the the poachers. It's the fish stocking efforts for those of you who like to have fish in your waters, the river cleanup. And I'm only 20 minutes from Flint, Michigan. It's the sale of duck hunting license that's paying to clean that up right now. People don't realize that's where all that funding comes from. And the truth is, we need to get the millennials and Generation Z and other demographics into the outdoors. Women, African Americans, people from inner cities, all different types of people we want to get into the outdoors. So we try to develop the show where it was teaching you how to do that, how to cook what you get, how to go on these adventures, show people that being out in the outdoors was fun and cool and exciting. And that's what we really set out to do with the show.
Awesome. And you do an amazing example of it, bro. I got to tell you.
Thank you.
All right. To start us off, I would really like to know about your background as a hunter. Is this one of those deals where you've been hunting since you were, in diapers type of thing?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I was one of those kids that grew up. I did baseball, swimming, golf, cross country. I was like doing a bunch of different activities. So I hunted here and there with my dad, squirrel hunting, deer hunting, that sort of thing. I was mostly into fishing as a kid, though. I really enjoyed that. But I'll never forget, I was a young kid, went out deer hunting with my dad, got my very first deer the first morning I went out, and walking up to it and that feeling and being like, wow. And then my dad taught me how to gut it. And then we took out the heart and we cut it up and then we prepared it. And I remember going home and cooking it for my mom and sister, and like the pride that I got of like, this is where food comes from. And like that realization, like, oh, this, when you go to a grocery store and it's in those neat, pretty little packages, that isn't where it came from. It came from somebody did this. And it's like, well, I know I'm a real clean person that's really good with a knife who wants to take care of his stuff. I want to do that for myself then. I want to know where my food comes from. I want to do it. I don't want someone else to do it for me. And that's kind of the seed that was planted. And then from there on out, it was like, oh, you can hunt ducks. What do those taste like? Oh, you can hunt this and hunt that. And then my best friend, the other host in the show, Jeff, he grew up across the street from me since we were 5. And like I said, we didn't have a lot. So what we would do is we'd save up our allowance. And like we would pool all of our money to buy our first $200 piece of crap John boat, duck boat that we used for fishing. And then we saved up our money to be able to buy a motor, and then we saved up our money to buy fishing rods. And that was how we were able to get into hunting and fishing, was just through saving up and knowing that if you split everything 50-50 with your buddy, that, it only cost half as much. And that's kind of how we kicked it off and got going. But
that's
cool.
Awesome,
cool.
man.
It make a difference when you know where the food is coming from, man.
100%. I think that's what, and I appreciate you saying that, but I think that's where my excitement and energy comes from the show, is because coming from nothing, you have like a real appreciation for the traveling. You have a real appreciation for like the experience that you're getting. And my entire team, my whole camera crew, even for History Channel, is my childhood best friends. So I didn't bring in no outsiders. My circle is very small. My people are the same people that have been with me since day one when we had nothing, all the way up till now. So we have like this really tight group and appreciation for it, because we're always hunting, fishing, traveling, or we're at the office together every day. So it's just, we built that community, and it's like that's what I wanted out of life. So that energy, I just get so excited about it, and teaching people about conservation. I think that's probably what comes through in the show. Is I probably sound like a weirdo, but man, I get pumped up about it still to this day. 8 years in, we've been working on this, and I'm still this fired up.
That is great.
All right.
Hey,
Really, I didn't know it. Yeah, I didn't know it's been 8 years, man. That's amazing. That's a hell of a track record, man.
Well, it wasn't a very good one in the beginning. I'll be the first one to tell you. I mean, it was the first 4 years, and our show sucked, man. We couldn't get a sponsor to save our lives. Everyone was telling us to pack it in and that it was garbage, but we just woke up every day trying to get better. We were in the gym in the mornings. We were doing our cold plunges. We were getting our mind right, and we were focused on getting better every day. And we just continually reinvest in our goal, continually reinvest in equipment, getting better camera equipment, getting better everything to just improve our skills daily. And now the team I have, I wouldn't trade for people with 17 Emmy nominations,
Awesome. I like that. Now, will you walk us through your rise and your progression? Did you start out on YouTube, or how did that work?
Yeah, so the way it started was just an idea. Some friends of mine sitting around a table. I actually worked for another television show when I was younger. I was probably like 21 through 23. I worked for a medical talk show. I started out as an associate producer running coffee for people. And within 6 months, I worked my way up to vice president and was nominated for a couple Emmys. I didn't win, but I got nominated for them as a producer. I just worked my way up and clawed. And then I lost interest in that project, left, had no idea what I was going to do. And I got my group of friends together, and I was like, listen, I know a medical talk show has nothing to do with a hunting show, but I think I can figure out the TV business now. And me saying I thought I could figure it out, we pooled all of our money, dumped everything in we had, and we all just went for it. And the first network we ended up on was actually the Pursuit Channel, which is like a cable platform. And then from there, we grew to be on the Sportsman Channel. From there, we grew to be on the Outdoor Channel. But what set us apart in the industry was I always wanted to be a really good storyteller in the show, but I also wanted to have the highest production quality so that we could be plugged into a Netflix or a History Channel at any time. So that's all we focused on. We didn't push products. We didn't take on sponsors. We only put all of our money into the production quality. And we went without. And I mean, there were some times where we had nothing, but we only invested in that to get the production quality where it would be so high that we could land on a big network. Because at the end of the day, again, it all takes me back to my goal, right? Is 55 and older white males are the only ones who are buying hunting licenses. We need to replace that demographic. So, the younger industries, in order to get on those big networks, in order to reach a new broader audience, you had to have the production quality. So that was all we invested in. And it wasn't until a year like 5 or 6 where I would say that we started to get pretty good. And then year 7, we were finally in our stride and finally closed that deal. We had over 600 no's under our belt before a big network actually took us on. So 600 was the magic number to get on History Channel. 600 no's. We started collecting them. And you should actually look at some of the letters, some of the mean shit people would say to us. We got some of it framed around the office because we like us. And that motivation fires us up. But that's what it takes is, History Channel told us no 13 times. So we just never stopped pushing. Yeah, they told us no. I don't know how I'm supposed to say that, but it's live and we already did it, so it's okay. But they told us no 13 times. And, it's like, you just got to keep biting and clawing and scratching. Eventually, the world will give in to what you want. If you believe in God, you keep him as your focus, and you work on a goal that will better his kingdom, eventually the world will give in to you.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Now, how many of those, I want to know how many of those past no's, 600 no's, how many of them came back? It was like, hey, Hey,
Yeah.
come on over here.
Sorry. Yeah, we got some sorries. We got some people that are sad. I think there would be more if the industry wasn't so toxic. So what happens, you'll find, is the reason why we're able to get so many no's is because people in that industry, man, the people that acquire content, they work there for a year, then bounce to another place, and then bounce to another place, and bounce to another place. But we have had plenty of people come back, and sponsors that turned us down come back and be like, well, we'd like to work with you now. And when it comes to money, I hold no grudges. So, it is what it is. And we've been forgiving on the sponsor side. We've been poor long enough. You know what I mean? It's time to be nice and forgiving. So that's what God will want anyways, right? So with the sponsors, we're forgiving. With the networks, it cracks us up. And we launched our first season this past year. And to lay the land for you, too, is if at any point we dropped below 70% viewership of the highest show on the network, they would cut us that day. It didn't matter if it was one episode, 1 week, anything like that. So when people are like, are you so excited you're on this week? I'm like, dude, I'm terrified. I hate that. I hate this, But we ended up doing on some weeks higher than the highest show. We had 130% on our highest week. So we were nowhere near that 70% mark, and we blew the numbers that they projected for us out of the water. So we got re-signed for a second season, and currently we're in production for that right now. We leave for Hawaii in a couple weeks. We're going to spend 15 days there hunting mouflon sheep, feral cows, and spearfishing. So we've been the last couple of days we've been getting the scuba certified, the camera team, for all the underwater filming we're going to have to do. So we're going through that little process right now. But it's just one of those memories we're making together. Learned a lot. You can die a lot of ways. we learned that, man. There's here's 106 ways you can die. So we've been,
a lot of people
going through that.
A lot of people want to put that gear on, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff they don't know.
I'll tell you what, if there's one tip that I can give anybody off of this, is I learned is those places where it's like those resorts where they're like, oh, you can learn in 45 minutes and we'll take you out. Don't go. Don't go. Don't go. Don't go. Don't sign that paper and don't go. Go get a real certification because damn.
Right on, man. Hey, congratulations on your entire journey and especially on being renewed for season 2. That is awesome, man. And I totally appreciate your honesty and your willingness to open up and let us know what the process is actually like behind the scenes. Grim 311 and we are primarily predator hunters down in Florida. It's very similar to the type of things that we did in Iraq as far as going after wild hogs or going after coyotes, being able to use night vision and thermal vision. But that's the extent. That's about as far as we go, or so far in terms of hunting. So I gotta admit, everything that I see you do, the species, the locations, it just blows me away. But I always wanted to know, what are some of your favorite species to go after?
Oh man, I'll tell you what. Number one, I made up questions on your predator hunting, so I want to ask you some questions on that after this. But some of my favorite locations, I would say if you were wanting to get into hunting and you wanted something where there was a lot of opportunity, I would say go to Hawaii. I would look at Maui. I would look at the Big Island. I would look at those different locations because, number one, who's not going to have a good time in Hawaii? Mm-hmm. Number two, there's a lot of access deer there. So there's a lot of opportunities. You can look at different guides and stuff, not spend as much money as you think. It's not as expensive as you think. Like the plane tickets for us were like $600 round trip. And as far as you can get guides, or there's actual land there where you can just public land, go out and hunt. And there's a lot of game. So from an ease standpoint, also the fact that you get an excuse to go to Hawaii, I would say that's one of my favorite locations. On top of that, I like to study and follow good conservation stories. So like we just went to Maine, and it's one of the History Channel episodes. We went to Maine, and there's a 1,600 square mile piece of property that's owned by paper companies that have a lot of moose on them. But right now, all the moose are dying off. The cows and calves, 90% of them are dying from winter tick, which is they don't spread disease. They live their whole life on one animal, but they get packs of thousands and suck them dry. They kill them from blood loss, if you can believe that.
Really?
And they're killing 90% of them right now. So they have to go in and kill all the moose in order for the ticks to die off to allow moose to come back in and get rid of the tick. And that's kind of the process. So I like following conservation stories like that. But another one I've never done that you guys should look into is, and it's a good success hunt, high success rate hunt, is doing caribou hunting in either Canada or you can, in the Brooks Range is the main area, where they'll have herds of tens of thousands of them go by, and they're reindeer or caribou, and the meat is supposed to be amazing. So I would recommend that one, because I'm trying to book that myself right now, because basically all we ever do is, like, when we book a trip, we're like, that'd be cool, let's go do that. And that's like the amount of thought that goes into it. But yeah, and then the other thing is there's bison hunts in the United States right now, and they're relatively inexpensive in the sense of, like, you might spend $1,000 or so, $2,000 maybe, but you're gonna go do that. It's not going to be a difficult hunt. It's going to be relatively easy. It's more of a harvest than a hunt, but the meat is so good that you get over it so fast that, like, being able to harvest that much meat and come home with 600 pounds of pure bison meat, you won't buy beef for 2 years. I mean, the hamburgers are unbelievable. The steaks are unbelievable. And that's what I get into, man. My freezer is full of wild game. That's what I eat every day. So typically what I'll do is I'll make venison and vegetables, or buffalo and vegetables and that sort of thing on the grill. And I'll just cook too much so that I can also have it for dinner. And that's kind of how I stay healthy doing that. But there's nothing more healthy than pure organic wild game. And I'll tell you what, have you guys tried eating those pigs yet?
You say emo?
Yes, I've had hog. I've had hog.
What did you think?
Oh, I love it, bro. Definitely. Right down my alley.
Yeah. I get into that. So tell me about the predator hunting. You're doing it at night. Are you getting foxes, coyotes, pigs? What are you seeing?
Pigs and coyotes, as well as bobcats, bro. That's primarily
bobcats.
Yeah, the area that we go to is we're part of a landowners association that shares 13,000 acres. So each person kind of owns their individual camp, and then you have the space for world ranked four-wheeling trails and whatnot, and then you have designated hunting areas. Everything is kind of like to me, it's off-grid oasis, bro. To be honest with you, the property has some sort of reservation status almost, where police can't come in unless someone allows them in the front gate, and then all the owners have keys to the gate and whatnot. And then we just go out and bait the hogs, or as far as the coyotes, I'll use either like a Fox Call Pro or a coyote calling app, Bluetooth speaker, and I can't explain. It just reminds us so much of being comfortable with your gun, like we were in Iraq, with your night vision and thermal equipment. And, we're kind of right back doing what we've known for years since we were, back in the Marines again.
Right. No, I love that. I have some experience predator hunting. I'm kind of in a collection mode right now for coyotes, because I like to make, I don't know whether I'm going to make a blanket or a jacket or something cool, but I've got 3 right now. I've got 3 hides in the freezer right now.
Good deal.
So I'm trying to add to that. Yeah, I'm trying to add to that. The funny thing, they're all different colors. So it's either going to make a funky looking coat or a cool, I'm leaning towards a blanket just because, like, all of them are in different phases. One's kind of red, one's super gray, and one's got like a tan look to it. I was like, damn, can't you guys coordinate a little better? But and predator hunting's so good for everything right now. And they just passed a bill where they just reintroduced 6 new wolves into Colorado, which is one of the most insane things that I've heard of in a long time. We've got wolves in Michigan now, and I not to get too tinfoil hat on you guys, but I know you're big Second Amendment guys. What concerns me about the predator thing and the release of the wolves is this: if they can get to where they want, where they're releasing enough wolves, and they're wiping out caribou herds, and they're wiping out moose herds, and they're wiping out deer herds the way that they are, then they can get to a point where they can say hunting is no longer conservation because that's kind of taking care of itself.
Right.
And as we're seeing it, all these strict laws that come into place, and in Michigan we're the worst, right? We have the worst laws in Michigan when it comes to gun rights with hunting and fishing and things like that. But you get in a situation where less people are getting into hunting, less people are involved in hunting, and on top of that, hunting success is going down because of really strict laws like the bait ban we have in Michigan. You're not allowed to bait deer. You're not allowed to, in certain areas, you can only shoot deer with at least 3 points on one side. There's all these different things that make it so difficult to hunt now that people are getting away from. I mean, imagine how many hogs you would kill if you couldn't bait, right?
Right.
Like that number you'd still kill some, but the number would go down.
Right.
And so would interest here and there. Like, it's a lot more work, and some days you don't want to go to, whatever it might be. Well, we're seeing that. And if they can get people to quit hunting, then they can get to the point where people don't hunt, and then they can say, well, you don't need your guns because you don't need them for hunting anymore. And don't worry, we'll take care of you. You don't need to protect yourself. The government will protect you. And that's what worries me about that is I want to keep people involved in hunting. I want to keep people, using guns for good reasons. I want to keep people knowing about guns. That way people are willing to protect their guns when laws try to get passed that take them away.
All right. Now, I have had the opportunity to hunt for WarDawg in Texas. Back in 2019, I was on the pro staff for AccuFire Tech, which happens to be a scope maker out of Dallas. So they saw us on Instagram and all, and they invited us out to hunt in Texas. And for anyone, coming from Florida, being able to go to Texas where they have exotics is, an amazing opportunity. You know what I mean? I wanted to ask you, in your future episodes coming up with the Greenway Outdoors, are you guys looking at hunting, in foreign countries or that sort of thing so you can get into exotics in that way?
Yeah, it's funny you say that is because that's kind of just come up. So there's an organization, it's a nonprofit called Safari Club International. And for anyone interested in doing stuff overseas, you have no way of knowing what you're walking into when you go there, right? So if I book a trip and I'm going to go to Africa to hunt, I don't know the people there. I've never met them. I've never got to, be around them. I don't know where I'm staying. And there's a lot of con jobs that go on with overseas hunts where you think you're getting something and you get there and it's not that. And then what are you going to do? Safari Club International, what they kind of do is they go through, it's a nonprofit group that fights for hunting and fishing and gun rights. So they're great people. And what they do is in order to be certified through SCI, you have to have so many people who have gone through your thing that work there. And they go through and make sure that the people you're signing up with are good, like the guides and stuff. So it's kind of a protective barrier for anyone interested in doing it. But next year, right now in May, we're going to Africa. We're going to be hunting some plains game. Yeah, we're going to be doing plains game. I've actually never said that out loud yet. We're going to be doing like WarDawg and plains game and different deer-like animals that we'd be eating. But we're going to be covering a lot of conservation stories that are in Africa. Such as there's a park there, and right now the park has about 30,000 elephants in it, but there's only enough food for about 7,000 elephants in it.
Really?
So they're all starving to death, and then they're trampling the fences to get out, and then they're consuming all of the farm crops that are there, and then the people there are starving to death. And this is all because PETA got what they wanted and made it illegal to hunt them. So now there's too many elephants in this area. Completely, they're all starving to death. It's the most cruel thing I've ever heard of in my life. And instead, they could offer some hunts, get those numbers back to where they're supposed to be. That meat would be donated to the people that lost their farms so that they would have food to eat. And on top of that, the money raised from the sale of the license would buy more land in order to be able to have more elephants in the future to keep the populations more stable. So while I'm not going to be elephant hunting, I'm going to be talking about those different stories and kind of telling the truth about conservation and like what's going on, so people know that, I mean, how can you argue with me there, right? Like 30,000 elephants, there's only room for 7,000. It's not right. You wouldn't put 30 people in a house, lock the door, and then only have enough food for 4 of them. I mean, it's not right. So, and that's the whole deal. So when we go to Africa, we're going to be covering stories like that. We're also going to be doing some mission work there. And helping to give back, donating our time to schools there. telling people about God and that sort of thing as well. So that's gonna be next year. We're also looking at going to Spain to do an ibex hunt, which, to be completely honest, I know very little about, but it sounded really cool. I know what an ibex looks like, big, great big horns and that sort of thing, and I guess the meat's pretty good. And I've never been to Spain, so I thought that would be a cool place to go to. And the last one we're looking at is going to the Scottish Highlands to hunt red stag. I've always wanted to go to the Highlands. I've always wanted to see what it's like over there. And I think it's just going to look really great on camera. So those are kind of next year is kind of our big year for going out of the country.
Nice. Good deal. Good deal. What about weapons? When it comes to weapons, what are some of your favorite I don't know whether it's calibers or type of bullet. What do you prefer to hunt with?
Yeah, if I had to pick, I always say if I had to pick one round for hunting for the rest of my life that I would have to use for everything, I'd pick the 28 Nosler. And the reason why, if you're familiar, it's kind of like a 7mm on steroids.
All right.
So as you guys know, 7mm have incredible ballistics. They're normally, but they also have the grainage that you need to knock down. I'm not a big 6.5 Creedmoor guy. For the sense of hunting, because I've seen it not go well enough times with the smaller bullets that I when people are like, oh, it's overkill, I'm like, well, it's kill. So I like exactly. So I really like the 28 Nosler. As far as a brand goes, I'm a Nosler guy. I've met the people there. Their factories are clean. It's a family-owned company, has been for a very long time, and they're so dedicated to making really good quality ammo that's what I've always used. I've used, and like this kind of like a tradition passed down from my dad. And as far as guns go, we work with Savage Arms, and there's a new gun coming out that you guys would dig. It's called the 110 Ultralight Elite. It's a lot of companies are making these carbon fiber guns now that are tactical, can be broken down. And they, you put the little bipod on the front. They're great for shooting prone. They come in a lot of different calibers. And I'm actually going to Savage in a month or two, and I'm actually going to get to make my own. So I'm very excited to make my own gun and go through that process. And that's what I've never done that before. So I'm pretty pumped about that. But yeah, 28 Nosler is the round that I love. They're screaming fast, 3,300 feet per second on a bullet that's 160 grains. It's going to do some damage.
Right on, man. I
actually just made a video you guys would probably dig. It was how to pick the right bullet for your hunt. And we just released it on our YouTube channel. And Nosler actually posted about it today on their a couple of the reels and shorts. But I kind of walked through like the AccuBonds, the ballistic tips. And we did it in a controlled setting where we're shooting gels. By the way, why the hell is shooting gel so expensive, man? $100 for a rack to come on with all that. I knew you guys would know my pain there. I was like, you gotta be kidding. And they won't sponsor you because there's no reason to, because you gotta buy it. Right. So it's like hot dogs at a baseball game. You're gonna pay the $8 because you want the hot dog at the baseball game. There's no choice. But we kind of walked through how the ballistic tip opens different than a long range bullet versus this versus that. And we kind of get really into that. But the bullet I recommend for you guys, they have the Varmageddon in 308 and 223 and some other loads that you guys are probably shooting. But that Varmageddon round is extremely consistent. Right. So that was the most consistent varmint load that I have found. What do you guys shoot when you do your predator hunting?
Primarily 223 or if I'm lucky enough for 308. I'm lucky enough to have someone that's around. Or I do have a buddy, just like you said, when I happened to be in Texas going after WarDawg, I was using a 7mm then. And so I totally agree with you when it comes to that total knockdown power of the 7mm round, man. That's an amazing round.
Did you get an WarDawg?
No, actually, I didn't. It was raining while we were there, so I was in a blind the entire time. The luckiest that I had was I had one turkey come, past me, but I was able to film there was a young teenager there who did actually get one, so I was able to film a lot of that and take it back for YouTube channel, that sort of thing. But yeah, it was still a blast. I mean, the place that I went to though is called Moss Creek Ranch, and they happen to have exotics. That's what I love about Texas. I did not understand the dynamics of like the outfitting business and turning your ranch into a place where people can come and have lodging and hunting. I did not. That's an entire industry, bro. So I really have to. Texas open my eyes up to what true hunting is. I have to admit that.
My buddy, I've got a buddy that owns Circle M Lodge, and it's in Oklahoma. And I'd highly recommend that too for pigs, aoudad. They've got some exotics in there. They've got elk and all kinds of stuff. But I'll tell you what, if I am going to do a controlled hunt like that, is what I call them. Some people call them canned or fenced in or whatever it might be. That's all fine. Like, obviously, the animals are there. But if you hunt aoudad in that setting, you are going to learn fast how those things survive in the mountains, dude. They are so fast. They run in packs. They've all got eyes. They're all alert. They're all smart. And they are skittish. So I did an aoudad hunt in that setting too. And the one thing that I will say is the meat's pretty good. And the trick to meat, especially when you're hunting goats, is you either soak it in milk overnight, like whole fat milk, like complete fat vitamin D, or in I'm trying to think of what it's called, not whipping cream, but the other one. I just go with the whole milk. But the whole milk, soak it in that overnight, and then take it off, take it out of that, rinse it, then spice it up, then cook it. And it's gonna make it way more tender and way more palatable for people too. But it's pretty good when you do that. But my secret, you'll see in our cooking, we cook at the end of every episode. A lot of times you'll see with something that might be thought of as gamier or have a stronger flavor like that, soak it in milk overnight, and it completely changes the profile of the flavor.
All right.
Okay.
I want to ask you about going on spot stalks. Now, for me personally, after the war, I got in a really bad car accident, right? So I had to have metal rods put into my hip, had to have screws put in my back. So I can never go on a true spot and stalk the way I want to because it's just, physically painful. What do you do?
Sure.
Yeah, what do you do when you are either unable or not in the mood to go on a spot and stalk? Is that when you just go to your being in a blind, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, it sometimes it just lends itself to what the game is, right? There's times where you get lucky, and you get the opportunity to be able to chill out in a blind for a day or something like that, just to assess what's going on. Like if I find the only time I'll do it is like, and I'll put on David Goggins in my ears and motivate myself if I have to. But if I'm in a situation where, it's like, man, there's a lot of sign here. You meaning like, for instance, if you look back at our season 1 stuff that's on Tubi right now, I think you can see it there in Roku and stuff. But if you go back to that stuff, you'll see I think the second episode we're bear hunting, and man, we came across an area where there was so much bear shit that I was like, I don't know the first thing about bear hunting, and there's a ton of bear poop here. And so let's just sit here and see what happens for a day and just see if this is like where he's coming to use the bathroom. And he did. And that's how we got him. And we're like, well, shit, literally, that's what right there, man. But my tip for spotting and stalking would always be, for those of you who still want to do it, is to always use the terrain as your cover and always stay in the shadows. Which is probably something you guys dealt with in the military too, is you always use the shadows to your advantage.
Right on.
Whenever you're approaching anything, you're always in the shadows. You're always looking for shadows. You're always, I always put my heel or my toe down first and then set down my foot so you're not crunching and breaking everything.
Right.
But use that terrain. Look for, a lot of times a big piece of ground will just look like flat ground, but there are rolling crests and stuff like that you can utilize to get closer to things. And just always assume something's on the other side of that hill, because there's so many times where you get casual, you get comfortable, and you come up over the top and you bust yourself because they were there and you didn't know it. You didn't think they were there and they're gone. And always assume someone's looking at you, as far as the game goes. But yeah, as far I grew up in Michigan so spot and stalking's new to me really. Once we started the show and traveling in Michigan, the way the properties are pretty much broken up is like when people say they're going up deer hunting up north, which is what we say, you could be going dead south, by the way. But if you're going to a place with a lake or a cabin or property, you say up north, it's like a term that means going to land, but it doesn't mean like you could be going dead south and say I'm going up north in Michigan. But and we always point on our hand where we're going, right? But when you go up there, you go up north and you go to your property, you probably have 10 to 20 acres of private land. You probably bait it, you set it up, you try and make the habitat good so deer want to come there. And then you set up in your tree stand overlooking a good runway or something like that. And you go up there and hope. And that's how I grew up hunting, is like those long 8-hour sits and stuff like that. So I have more experience doing that than I do the spot and stalking. But over the last, obviously, 8 years, I've gotten pretty good at spot and stalking. And I like to be moving, and I like to not be sitting still. But I still have that appreciation. Every year, November 15th is opening day of rifle season here in Michigan. I still go up with my dad and all his buddies, and I go up there every year for hunt camp. And I'm out there on November 15th, and I sit out there all day and hope that a deer just happens to pass me by. So I still have an appreciation for that too. But I always found, man, if you can cover those water sources or those food sources, they're going to come there eventually. And that's kind of where I like to set up.
All right, right on. Now to finish us off and close everything out, can you let everyone know, besides the History Channel, where they can watch the Greenway Outdoors and where they can find you online or social media?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So the Greenway Outdoors, we have a weekly vlog series where we go on different hunting and fishing adventures, or we might be making maple syrup or putting together a diesel heater or something that we're going to use for hunting. I wanted to ice fish, but we got no ice this year. But we have a weekly vlog, comes out on Fridays in the evening. And then every Monday we have a video podcast that also comes out. Those are both on YouTube and Carbon TV. And then you can also find us on social, like everywhere podcasts are found, Spotify, Google Play, that sort of thing. And then our History Channel series, which is technically season 4 of the Greenway Outdoors, is available on Tubi right now. It's available on Carbon TV. It's available on Wild TV Plus. And then that's always being added to. I know it's coming out on Roku soon. And then if you go to our website, thegreenwayoutdoors.com, you can go to our show there and see our past seasons through YouTube and a bunch of other platforms there as well. And then obviously on social media, we're just the Greenway Outdoors and everything. Greenway are 2 separate words. A lot of people make it one. They just say Greenway Outdoors, but it's the Greenway Outdoors, 4 words. So you can find us anywhere there. And you and I we'll have to come down there to Florida sometime. We're going to be there python hunting, actually. I think in June, the end of June. So I'll shoot you a text then too, and maybe we can link up.
That would be awesome.
Get food nonetheless.
That would be awesome. Yes, that would be amazing. All right.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kyle Green with the Greenway Outdoors. Superb professional hunter. He's a great guy. This has been an amazing episode. Kyle, I can't thank you enough. I'm hyped just talking to you, man. I mean, this has been as a fan and as a hunting our outdoor team fan, to actually be able to speak to you and to find out that you're just such a cool guy behind the scenes, man, is just amazing to me. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on our show, and I can't thank you enough.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for your service.
All right. Do you have any final words?
No, this was fun. I'm looking forward to hunting with you guys.
All right.
We'll have to shoot some pigs and fry them up. That'd be a blast.
All right. Good deal. Thank you, Kyle. You enjoy the rest of your day. All right. All right.
Take care, guys.
All righty. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 108 of the WarDawg Trail. Salute.
All I know is war. All I know is shoot. All I want is more, but I got some things to do. I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you. I'm a soldier, I'm a warrior. Got an emblem on my cover. And ask me what I did for you. I put the trash deep down under. Yeah, I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you. Yeah.
Some time in the place, man. I just needed some space. So the paint show in my